So far we have been having a great year for the garden. Had harvested a lot of tomatoes already. If you have been watching the vlogs we posted this week, you saw the tomato abundance that we got. It was a bit unexpected. We didn't think we'd be harvesting that much so early, but we're definitely grateful. There's a lot of other things that are starting to grow too, so let's get started. We'll start taking a look at the plot garden first, and then we're gonna take a walk and go to my backyard and see how things are going there. Here's a little review on how the whole garden is looking. We still have a few things growing on this side and this side. This is where it's kind of our pollinator garden. We planted a lot of flowers for the pollinators, and I'm really happy with this queen lime zinnia mix here. I got this from Johnny Seeds, and it has all the colors of the queen lime series, and it's just looking so beautiful. I almost wish I had planted all of this with the zinnias, so maybe something I can do next year. This amaranth here that I showed last week is just so big. We didn't expect to have amaranth big like this. As I mentioned in the last garden tour too, it's already producing some of the flowers here. Some tiny little buds there, as you can see, and then the main bud usually comes from the top. So this guy here is probably gonna get very nice and tall, maybe even past that wall. We'll see, but it's just amazing how big those guys got this year. And the tomatillos back here are doing good. There's no fruit on these yet. They have been damaged by some sort of pest beetle probably, because they have all these little holes in here. But the plants still look somehow healthy, even though they have all of this little pest damage. And this cucumber here has finally starting to put out his first flower, but this is a fuzzy one. You see this? Look how interesting this flower looks. This is a female flower because the fruit is right here and it's open, so ready to be pollinated. Just like squash, you could just get a male flower and pollinate it here to the top. But I thought it was really cool that the flower comes out with this little fuzziness here. This is actually technically a melon, but it can be enjoyed as a cucumber if you pick it young enough. Back on the side here we have some flowers that are just starting to set. Now it's mid-July, so the garden is kind of getting to its full force. So everything is kind of blooming. The snapdragons are looking so nice. I planted them later from seed, and they're just starting to bloom now. I had some other snapdragons blooming earlier that I got from starts, but I love this color. I can't remember the variety, but I can put it on the screen. I got this from Johnny Seeds too. This one here, I don't remember what it is. Maybe status, I don't know. I'll have to look my past videos and see if I remember what kind of flower this one is. The celosias here are looking good. We harvested some flowers this week too, if you watched yesterday's vlog. And some more of this beautiful, gorgeous marigold. Those are the giant orange marigold, and they get so tall. See how bigger they are than the little marigolds usual. So we love this. This is also can be used as a cut flower, and I'm super excited about this. Salmon rose zinnias are looking gorgeous here too. They also got very tall. When I was planting this in the beginning of the year, I didn't think those guys would be so short. So there's some tallish flowers in here, some in here, and short in here. So maybe next year I'll try to do something with all zinnias or something to get them all nice and tall, to attract the pollinators even more. Here on this side we have this fig tree that we have to trim the bottom. We haven't had a chance to do that yet. And I have the grapevine back there that has tons of grapes, but they're not ready to be harvested. And here on this side, some of these strawberry blonde calendulas are struggling, just how my other calendulas were. So I have got to come in and take this down. I really don't want to, because I kind of like the way they look here, but I guess I should, because I don't want this this pest is in here, whatever it's eating it, to proliferate and start attacking my other plants. Feverfew is looking really good in here too. I'm gonna probably harvest you to put in some bouquets for cut flowers this week. There's a few tomatoes here in the back that are producing. This fennel here is gorgeous. It's one of my favorite things I'm growing this year. I love this brown grayish color. It's very pretty, even though it kind of gets faded in there when you pass by. But these tomatillos here have fruit on them. They take a very long time to mature from my experience last year. Maybe this year will be different, but these guys on this side do not have a lot of the pest damage that the ones on by the flowers have, so hopefully they will produce a little bit more. All of the tomatillos in this garden this year are volunteers from last year. I did not plant any of them. I had a plant here last year, a bunch of fruit fell and some of them grew there, and I also had a plant there last year, fruit fell and they just volunteered back there, which I'm very grateful for because I didn't collect any of the tomatillo seeds last year. We have the squash bed here. The squash kind of coming over this little A-frame little trellis that I put in there and starting to go everywhere, but it's not really producing fruit that much. I think that the squirrels have just been eating everything. I've caught them eating some flowers a few times when I come through here, and we'll see if we get anything. And I have some sunflowers here on the side too. We had a peach tree here that we cut it down because it was sick. If you watched the earlier garden tours, you'll see that. So with that new space, I put in some sunflowers because I love the way the sunflowers are looking in the backyard, and I wanted to get some kind of framing that arch trellis too. So hopefully those will do well. Some of them are doing better than others. Then this gorgeous dahlias here. Look at this. This is my first year growing dahlias. Last week we only had this one open. Now we have this other one here looking so pretty. Another one on the way, and this one. It just makes my heart really happy. On this trellis we have a cucumber that's also not producing. I have some cucumber in the backyard that's producing more. It's growing now. I got some pest damage in here, but I see a bunch of little flowers, but they just I think get kind of nibbled, or they die, or get eaten by the squirrels. I don't know. We haven't gotten one cucumber from here yet. Let's see how it goes. There's some kale in here, some basil. The squash here, this one I'm trying to grow vertically. It's a bush type, but see how big it still grows, so it's good to even provide support if it's a bush squash. This is a lemon squash, same that I harvested on the harvesting video in the backyard. And this Hawaii long squash is just going crazy here. Also no fruit yet, but it's growing, looking really healthy. It's not being affected by powdery mildew or anything. Those guys here have to be constantly pruning. I've done it a couple times this week, so I take the affected leaves, so hopefully they will keep growing, because we unfortunately have a big problem with powdery mildew here. Here's our pepper bed, not doing so great this year, but I guess we're still gonna get some good harvests. Jalapenos are looking okay. Finally starting to show some extra growth. More tomatoes, some bush beans in here that volunteered, that I put at a pole, and now I just kind of trained it to come up this trellis. And I have beans coming out from the other side on this trellis too with our Three Sister bed. We have some corn, squash, and beans in here. It's a little hard to see because it's getting a little crowded, but we wanted to give it another try to a Three Sister this year and see how it goes. Last year it didn't work out. We actually planted the beans too early at the same time we planted the corn, and the beans grew so fast they knocked down the corn. So this year I waited for the corn to come up when they're a little bit about 2 or 3 inches tall. Then I planted the seeds, the bean seeds, and it's already looking much better. The beans are growing nicely along the stalks, and they're getting so big they're even going over the trellis too. I almost missed something super cool. Check this out. We have our first center cut squash. I read on the seed pack from them that they recommend that you take it when it's like about a banana size. It's a bit bigger than a banana, but I think we'll harvest today because I'm scared the squirrels will get to it before we do. This cucumber here, same as the one on the other side, not setting any fruit yet, but looking a bit healthier. This is a silver slicer, and that's a pickling cucumber. These leaves of these ones are looking much healthier than the other ones here. Right after this beautiful trellises here, we have the tomatoes. Even though we have harvested lots of them this week, we still have a lot more on the vine. And also we're in New York City, and as usual we have some construction around, so I apologize for the noise. I have to wait a little bit before I keep going. Okay, let's take a look real quick now and then move to the back before the noise starts again. So here are just a lot more tomatoes. They all have a bunch more in the plant. I have been kind of slacking on the pruning, so if you can see here, there's a lot of leaves that are a little bit damaged too from the time that we were away and we didn't water this for 5 days. So I gotta come around and try to clean up these plants a little bit more. Their suckers are coming around and I haven't had a chance to take it either. We've been so busy with the harvesting. That's literally all that we did this week. We harvested a few times. I already made some tomato sauce, and I'm planning to harvest some peppers for salsa, but I still need to try to find some time to come prune the tomatoes. At least I did come and weed yesterday, which was a good thing. The weeds are going crazy here. I had the intention to weed and prune, but I got too tired. It took a very long time. So I'll try to do it this weekend after I'm done with the canning. This calendula here is full of aphids. I gotta go ahead and take this out too. I'm gonna harvest a little ones to dry again, and I'm gonna take this out because this aphid farm here is just going crazy. Look at that. So if you have ants in your garden, it's usually a good sign to start to look for aphids. Ants actually like to farm the aphids. They like to eat the little sweet dew that the aphids produce, so they encourage the aphids to stay there so they can actually eat what they're producing, which is kind of crazy, but it's just a little interesting thing to keep an eye on. Here in the cherry tomato bed, things are slowing down a bit. Those are the first ones to produce. Those are the sun gold tomatoes, and they're producing still new fruit in the top, which is really cool, but we have harvested a lot from it already, so I don't know how much more we'll be able to get. The black strawberry tomatoes are looking amazing. They're actually very tasty too. They're very sweet. We really enjoyed eating them, but there's some new growth on the top too, new flowers, so hopefully we keep harvesting from it a little while longer. In this bed here, I did decide to take out the eggplants and the beans that were right there. I left the bigger eggplants in the back and I cut down the borage. It's not so overwhelming anymore, so now there's some space for them to grow. They have already put some nice growth after I trimmed the borage for a little bit in the back. And some of these black-eyed peas are getting a bit shaded by the tomato that's going a little crazy, so I also got to find some time to get this and prune it, attach it to that fence, put it back up so these guys can get some sun. Kale has been destroyed by some cabbage moths. I don't even try to pick the eggs out anymore. I'm just kind of letting them be. It's too hot for them. They're struggling anyway. I wanted to see if I could grow them all the way through the winter and then overwinter them to have a 2-year kale, but it's not looking very promising. So we'll see how it goes. And I have to decide what else I'm gonna plant in the back there. That's mostly it for the plot, but before we go to the backyard, I'm gonna go ahead and harvest a few things. I'll take that squash in there and maybe even grab a few peppers so I can go ahead and make some salsa this weekend. There's a small plant back here behind these whole bush beans that I noticed had a little, oh, it's much bigger than I thought. Okay, there's a little bell pepper in here growing very close to the ground. I'm gonna go ahead and take that out because I don't want anybody to eat it anyway. There's a small one here, but I have more bell peppers at the backyard that I'm gonna harvest too, and I'm gonna get some of this jalapenos also. Maybe some of the tomatoes, just spot one that is also blushing. This coastal luto grows very close together, and I've been kind of accidentally dropping the green ones when I harvest, so I'm gonna put the camera down and use the clippers for this. We got a butterfly here in the garden. Ooh, so hard to film. Hey, she's gonna go to the zinnias, I think. There she comes again. It's so hard to film butterflies. They are so erratic. Hopefully you guys can see this one. I'm gonna get this squash now too. Very nice. Okay, let's move on to the backyard now. It's just a little short walk from the plot. We had a lot of damage by the time they were not home on the spotted plants here. As you can see, I already pruned all of them. They look much different than they did in the last garden tour, but I really don't think they're going to thrive very much. This strawberry blonde tomato here, I'm gonna have to probably just, after harvest these fruits, just get rid of the plants. And with this atomic grape, they're just looking really weak, and the leaves are starting to brown. The tops are getting these little yellow spots. I think there's partner mites probably attacking them here, so we unfortunately are gonna have to take the loss, but it's okay. We'll try to probably plant something else in there. It's kind of crazy because it's already that time of the year where we can start planting some fall stuff, so I guess that just made some space for us to start thinking about that, and I'll keep you updating you guys in future garden tours where we're gonna be growing there instead. Here in the raised bed, this kale is actually doing really good because it's been shaded by this pear tree that's full of pears too. Eventually we're gonna have a very nice harvest, even though this plant is stick to has these little red spots on them, but still producing a lot of fruit. So the tomatoes here look much taller than the ones at the plot. They have taller stakes and they are going nicer. I think it's because we have better soil here. We really amended the soil with some good compost this year. The previous tenant that had this apartment also gardened and also put some soil in here for the past couple of years. So things are doing much better here. I'm glad to see that those tomato plants are super healthy and they keep growing. So hopefully we'll definitely have a bit of an extended harvest from these ones. I have cleaned up a few things here. This area here is empty. I had to pull out one tomato plant that died after the lack of water from where we were gone, and I have planted some seeds in here. I got some okra seeds and there's some bean seeds in the back. Let's see if they will come up. The sunflower here too, it was all dead, so I cut a lot of the branches and the leaves off, and I'm gonna leave that pole there with the hope that some of the beans will probably grab on it and use as a little support. Let's see if that's gonna happen. And that sunflower there is about to open. It's super tall. See how tall this tomato plant is? It's already taller than the fence, which is amazing. This so far, it's been a tomato that's been producing the most for us. It has huge clusters of tomatoes, and I have no idea what variety it is because it doesn't have a tag, and I don't remember what this could be from the seeds that I have. I also got gifted some seeds, so it could be from some of the ones that Aina gave to me, but I am definitely saving seeds from this one because this guy is so prolific and so healthy. Here is the sunflower that I showed in the last vlog. I cut the top off, but the side branches are going very vigorously. They put up some height in a very short period of time, which is good. On this other side, I have some of my green stalks that I have to address. I haven't been taking care of them as much as I should. I decided to take some stuff off, and I haven't replanted some of the pockets yet. There's some empty things in the bottom that I have to take care of. Maybe hopefully this week I'll find some time. This one is looking really good. This brown one is looking kind of amazing actually. There's a lot of growth up here. Lots of strawberries again. We just harvested some. There's a lot more. Lots of the beets is still there. It's too hot for them, so I'm gonna go ahead and rotate this planter, even though I have more beets on the other side. But it's probably time for me to take some of them out because their leaves always seem to be struggling every time that I rotate this. Some of these peppers here I'm gonna harvest for salsa, or even maybe for pickling. Those are really hot. I don't know if I'll be able to put all of them in the salsa that I'm making on the weekend. Oops. I have a few things in pots here. The shishitos are doing amazing, producing so much, guys. Shishitos are very, very prolific. I've been harvesting a lot, and the more I harvest, it seems like the more they produce. I'll also be adding some of this to the salsa because I don't have enough bell peppers. I will use some of these little guys here. Those are the mini bell peppers from Baker Creek, and they are all kind of getting ready. I overwintered this plant. It was from last year. It's producing some sweet peppers already. They'll add some nice flavor. I'll take all of them. Even the green ones, they will just keep producing more. This full pepper here are also looking amazing. There's also a very hot pepper, more like a habanero heat, but also very fruity and delicious. It was my favorite last year, as I've said many times on this previous garden tours, and it's loaded with peppers. So soon enough we can do a big harvest of this one too, and hopefully it will follow with another flush or two. The shishitos though are crazy. They really are producing a lot more than I expected. I'll just take some of the big ones. I'm also going to take some of these bell peppers here with the hope that it will produce more. One of them got sunburnt while we were gone, but I still have 4 in this plant. Can never really wait until they get ready anyway. That one was almost getting ready, but I like them green for salsa. I think the flavor is good. Okay, not bad. Some cucumbers also forming. Some more cucumbers. We already harvested a few of the silver slicers, and some of these pickling cucumbers are also starting to come a little bit more prolifically, I guess, which is good. This plant, it's kind of recovering now, but it was very attacked by some pests in the beginning, so the bottom, I had to cut almost all the bottom leaves, but it looks like it's coming back pretty strong. So let's see what's going to happen. Back here I have a sweet potato too. I keep forgetting to show in the garden tours. It's growing very nicely. This is a Japanese sweet potato, one of the purple ones that I had. Now we'll take a look at the little area up there. I have harvested some cilantro seeds, coriander, left in here, forgot in here actually to dry. I gotta bring that inside, but there's more to be harvested in that planter as well. I'll show you guys and harvest some now. And I like to save those to make my own spices, my own coriander seeds, so it's pretty handy. But before I go there, let's look at these plants on the side over here. I had the thought that I wanted to plant like variety of things in here to show that if you only have this amount of space, you can still grow a lot of stuff. So I have a tomato plant in here that's in a pot. That's doing okay. It got a bit more damage than the others from the sun to it when we were gone, but it's recovering fine. It's producing some good fruit in there. There's even some new growth, some new ones coming in here. Basil, and there's some more of those little Brazilian peppers. Those are the Malagueta peppers. They're kind of like a Thai pepper or Hawaiian chili pepper. This one here is our habaneros. They are still green, so not ready to be picked. And this biquinho here, it's full of pepper, very prolific. It's also a Brazilian pepper, but it's sweet. So we do a pickle with it in Brazil, and we love to use this little garnishing food. So I'm going to wait a little bit more until some more of these are red to harvest them. I have a passion fruit vine here that I started from seed. It's starting to really grow nicely right now. There are some beans in here that had some sort of damage. I don't know, someone told me it was like a bacterial leaf curl or something like this. I don't know exactly what it was, but it seems to be recovering. It is sending some tendrils now, and hopefully it will take over these trellis here where the peas were. Now this green stalk here also needs some attention. I also gotta go ahead and replant some of these pockets that I've been harvesting from. But the beans here are doing really good. I have harvested a few of these beans already, and it's producing so much. This is called the Celine beans variety from Johnny Seeds, and I have a few up here from Baker Creek Seeds. I just harvested yesterday from here, so there's not much, but I'll take this other two out as well. Honestly, I thought that by this time I would have a lot more growing here, but it was my fault for not having a chance to replant it. So there's a lot of empty things. Could have been looking a lot nicer like it did last year with the herbs, but you know, life gets busy, so didn't get a chance to take care of it as much as I should. The chives that I harvested a couple weeks ago, remember, already all grew back, so probably go ahead and harvest it again. There's some lemon balm in there. It needs to be harvested for tea as well, and a bunch of empty pockets that I planted some seeds and it never come up because the soil got so dry. And on this side we got the cilantro that's completely dry now. Cilantro seeds are ready to be taken and hung up, and you can probably already use as coriander seeds for seasoning. I put some of this salsa since I don't have any fresh cilantro anymore. My cilantro have died. I'm just gonna put together with this other one here for now. But that's it. Maybe I'll film a little video trying to take care of these green stalks and replanting a lot of stuff sometime soon. I'll get these two peppers here. There's 3 peppers here too. I also gotta take a better care of these hanging planters here. They've been suffering with the heat. I gotta water them more and replant a few stuff. Below here, that basil there is doing good. Have citronella, some beans. Also, those are supposed to go climb over here when they get a little bit bigger. This is a bush variety that's also producing lots of beans. Probably harvest later. And I'll take some of this pepper here too. This one I don't know which one variety it is. I got this on sale the year before, grew them last year, overwintered them, and I am here harvesting them again. They're really good. They're mild. They're not that hot, so this gonna add good flavor to the salsa. I completely missed them last year. I was harvesting them green. I kept forgetting about the little planter there, and they got a chance to get all red, which is kind of cool. But I'm gonna go ahead and take out the green ones too, because I do like the flavor of them, and they're a big one, so they'll add some volume too. Okay, so this is a very shy basket compared to our other harvests this week. In case you missed the vlogs this week, I'm gonna go ahead and go inside and show you how many tomatoes we have harvested so far. I ended up harvesting a few more. They're a little bit green, but we're also supposed to have rain yesterday that never came, just like the day before. Some of these other ones here from earlier are really starting to turn into a good color. We have actually already made some tomato sauce this week, believe it or not, with the red ones that are already super ripe. Not for canning, we made a couple jars for us to enjoy through the week, but I think for salsa we definitely can make maybe 4 to 8 jars this time. But I have also harvested this very beautiful sunflower that you see right here, and I am obsessed with it. It is so beautiful. It's getting prettier with time because it's opening up even more. This is a double Sun King sunflower, and it is just so pretty. It's definitely earning a permanent spot in my garden from now on. So that mostly be it for today. I'm gonna take care of this little chai pepper harvest with all of the tomatoes later today, and I'm gonna end this video right here. If you have any questions about anything, as always, please don't hesitate to leave them in the comment section down below. I try to answer to as many comments as I can. And if you're curious about last week's harvest and the garden tour, I've put a couple videos over here that you can watch after this. Thank you so much for watching today. Please make sure to like this video if you enjoy seeing the garden, and subscribe to the channel if you want to keep accompanying us on our journey and trying to grow some of our food here in New York City.